Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Lieboff, and joining me, as always, are Tim Kalinowski and Nick Martin. And together, the three of us are going to break down the next two Stanley Cup playoff games, Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We'll start in the West with Game 5 between the Oilers and Stars, then we'll get to Game 6 between the Panthers and Rangers in Sunrise. But let's go to Dallas, where the Stars are minus 134. Oilers traveling plus 112. Total here is 5.5. The series is not at 2-2. If you look at the series line, it's essentially a coin flip. Dallas is a slight favorite, minus 120. The Oilers plus 100. I was talking about backing the Stars as an underdog in Game 4. I'm following the series. Like, it has me chasing my tail, basically, the series, right? Like, I'm one game behind everything, but I do feel good about this one once again, that I actually like the Oilers with the Chris Tanev news. And it's not just taking Tanev out of the lineup. Nick will go into it, but it's what that ripple effect now is going to have, or how it's going to impact the rest of that Stars blue line. It's going to the options for Peter DeBoer are either Miro Heiskanen plays 30 minutes of the 60 with Thomas Harley playing, right behind that, Esa Lindell right behind that, or you got to give Ryan Suter more minutes, and that's a disaster waiting to happen. I think all of us can agree to that. And what it does is just it just takes away from that Dallas depth that we keep talking about, and in a really impactful way. So I think at plus 110 or better, I like the Oilers, Nick.
Yeah, I agree. I think the number is definitely worth taking another shot on a road team in the Oilers. I think that they're just the clear side holding value. Even after game 3, we had talked about, I thought that people were ragging on the Oilers a little too much for having what basically each team I thought had one bad period. The Oilers, the third, could have gone either way, and that made me not mind their chances in that one. And then, the Tanev loss is just so crucial. I mean, they've been already using him more than they dream of. If they had a mildly competent guy to play in that spot, perhaps even Hakanpää, I think they'd look a lot better. And now he's just going to take on a much bigger role with Tanev out, who's been really, really important. He's had such tough usage this playoffs. He's had a ton of D-zone starts versus really good players. So I feel like it's almost understated if he's out that this is the number. And then I also just think even the totality of the whole series, I feel like it does tell you that this is a pretty reasonable price to bet Edmonton. Like overall, I think it's very fair to be 2-2. The analytics tell us it's been quite close, if not actually favor the Oilers overall. And they do have a bit of a disadvantage in goal, but I also don't think Skinner's probably been as bad as people have thought. I think he's done a lot of making the saves he's supposed to. And you're always going to have to, fear huge usage from the Oilers' top stars in these games. And Nurse was way better last game too. I thought that he definitely played better overall. Bit of an ugly first, but I still think that the new look is slightly better. I'm not sure entirely better. I think the move would still be to get Desharnais back in there and sit CC. But anyways, it feels like the adjustments that they made worked for the time being, and Knobloch continues to have some pretty good answers. So I think that the play here is taking your chance on the Oilers at this number. I feel like this is just way closer to a coin flip. And once again, I continue, like we stressed it all playoff long, but that's because it just keeps working and it keeps applying. So like it's such a critical point in every in-game price that the road teams have just been so good. Like there's no evidence that playing on the road means anything in the playoffs right now. And yet every single game we continue to see drastic prices swinging as series change locations. And none of the numbers, like Oilers and Stars specifically too, suggest that should be the case. So I think the clear value play here is the Oilers, considering how we just saw game 4 and with Tanev out now.
Yeah, I was interested in what you guys were going to say about that, because I feel the same way too, Lieboff, in the kind of chasing my tail a bit in this series. The Tanev thing, when we talk about Dallas's depth, and I think a casual would be like, oh, defenseman goes down for Dallas. You guys have been telling us they have a lot of depth. Well, part of maybe we say it the wrong way, and like it's not just like that the strength is the depth. It's like the strength is that the sum of all of their parts, and all of their parts are, fit together kind of perfectly, and especially the way they solidified it with Tanev. So it's not necessarily like, oh, they're so deep, next guy up. It's like they just had a lot of really good players.
Right.
And Nick, what you said, I just pulled up the Tanev defensive zone starts, the most in the series among stars. 23 defensive faceoffs. He starts. That's where he starts. It's like, I feel like it's like the NBA where it's like this guy's just on the court the whole time. So I don't know how you overcome that. In terms of the pick itself, yeah, I'm shocked to see the what the line is for Edmonton. The way that they were able to turn things around, I think how lethal they are. It's hard to. I feel way more comfortable backing them as a dog with like the Skinner question mark, because you never really know what you're going to get from him. And I feel way better about doing that, getting him plus 114 or whatever it is, than I do laying it. And then I'm kind of leaning under as well. There's sixes out there. We know how strong those trends are, late in the series. So I'll probably see myself playing under 6 by the time comes as well. But I think you guys are on it with Edmonton and the under for me. But Edmonton, you can't pass it up at that price. I think the Tanev and Skinner thing kind of cancels it out, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll take the plus money.
Yeah, and I think there's like 2 important notes on the Stars' depth. So first off, they're even deeper offensively. There's way more options they can do, even with Hintz out. There's way more ways they could try to fill that. And like everyone was talking about how they're deeper at D. They are, because they have 2 defense pairings regularly that are arguably like a full-blown number one. And like that Tanev, Lindell, I mean, they basically have been the best shutdown unit in the playoffs. So
and normally, like salary cap deep, right? In the cap era deep, right? It's like a different definition.
But like you can be deep, and then that's still like their one bad spot to lose anyone, because they don't have another like piece to put a guy in. So, and part of that is with Hakanpää out as well. But yeah, it's definitely a big loss.
Yeah, it's a type of loss that I think won't get captured really by the betting market, because it's not a guy who it's not Hintz, it's not Jason Robertson or Zach Hyman, right? This is a defensive defenseman, but when you're talking about 2 teams, like so matchup dependent, adjustments now matter so much when you're in the deep end of the pool in a playoff series. And as we've said, like he just plays the hardest minutes that you can imagine, and you're playing against Connor McDavid. You're playing hard minutes against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl against that power play. It's a huge gap to fill for the rest of that decor. And look, like, he hasn't been confirmed out. He has not been confirmed out. He was wearing a walking boot walking through the airport. For all we know, he went.
Savage. We might be reaching because
even if he's in, like he left that game yesterday, didn't come back. He's hurt. Like he's not going to be as effective. But we should note that like there is no confirmation yet that he's out. Anyways, it looks like Oilers.
Even if he plays, it's the Oilers. Not
exactly.
And they could do the thing, right? He could do the thing where he plays. And he's just like, they're trying to make it like a miraculous story and all this. And he's just.
Yes, the Aaron Ekblad. I mean, Aaron Ekblad played on a broken foot in that Stanley Cup final series last year, and was. You wouldn't know it, but I guess playing the NHL is pretty hard on one leg.
Do you think, one more thing, do you think you wait if you haven't got Edmonton yet? Excuse me. Yeah. Will the announcement affect the line?
No. I don't think so.
No.
Because the thing is, I think that this is already a good number, whether he plays or not. So I think chances are that it's just smarter to bet it while you can, because even if he gets announced that he's in, I don't really see people moving the line towards the Stars very much.
Okay, so that's Edmonton and Dallas. We're all on Edmonton, and Tim is looking to play the under on at 6. I do wonder if it's another opportunity to go to. I'll probably be on that 0-0 again. It worked tonight. Like, it just these series we're getting to the point where teams are just coming out and playing tight again. So I'll probably look at that as well.